What's up? It's Alli Simpson, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I'm loving the new music.
Thank you so much.
There's so much maturity on this music.
Oh, I think so.
And I feel like you know, the previous songs, like you had younger audience, but I feel like now your audience is growing with you.
Yes.
And you can hear that on the music, the two new singles that just got released. Let's talk a little bit about them and what that creative process was like for you.
Yeah, well, you know the two songs, Material Boy and I Won't Remember You Tomorrow, and there was quite, a bit of a difference between the two songs, and I just feel so connected to these two songs. I'll start with Material Boy. It was one of the first songs I actually ever wrote myself, because I'm getting into songwriting, and it was really cool to be able to sit in a room with some amazing songwriters and share, my story and what it was I wanted to write about and tell the world about, really. And I was like, how can I really get them to connect with me? And so this Material Boy concept was one of the first ones that came to my head, and because it was something that, I'm dealing with and was dealing with at the time, with dating in LA and superficial people and things like that.
LA drama. Let's just leave it at that.
I know, I really don't need to say anymore. So Material Boy was where that came from, and I really wanted that pop vibe and sound to come through. And when we were making the production, I was really sort of feeling it, and we just built it sort of as it was happening. And it turned out really, really perfectly for me, and it feels like that song is very much me and my story. And then the other song was actually written by a talented songwriter. His name's Justin Jesso. He's on the new Cargo record. Okay, cool. And he came to me with this song, and I was going to release Material Boy on its own because I decided that was the single, and that's what I wanted to go with. And then this song came along, and it was totally different sound, obviously, with the guitar and just my voice. Like, that's all the track was. And I felt immediately connected to it when I heard it, because it was, I grew up just singing by the fire with my family and playing guitar and singing. So like that was something from my childhood that I hadn't shown anybody yet. And I was like wondering how I could do that. And I recorded this song. I went in there and, put my own spin on it and changed the story a little bit to make it my own. And it turned out the way it did. And like I was going through something like that at the time, and like I was trying to record it, and I remember like tearing up in the studio because it was like I was so connected to it. Yeah, and that was was really cool. And I'm like, I have to release this as well. Like this is really awesome. Like I feel like personally connected to it, and I really want other people to hear it. And they're like, okay, well, let's just do both. Like, let's just release both. It shows both sides, the acoustic and the pop, and it's cool to be able to show, my roots and my where I started in music and then where I'm going with it. So
I mean, plus your fans have been waiting a couple of years for music, right?
It's definitely been a couple of years. It was about 2 years since I released music, which is crazy, but I just really wanted to get it right this time, and I was, dabbling into a lot of different things over those years, and sort of keeping connected with my fans. It was amazing how they still stuck around. So they waited and they love it. So it's really exciting. And now I'm like, you won't be waiting another 2 years for the next song, guys. It'll be around. So yeah.
Nice. Now going back to Material Boy, since that was the first time that you're writing music, what was that like when you were actually penning it? Especially because the previous music was, upbeat and fun, and this is more personal. So, getting vulnerable, like how was that as you're learning how to be a writer? Yeah,
I'm a very vulnerable person in general, and I have been my whole life, and I've always, shared way too much with my family. Like, I'm just an open book. Like, we would sit down at dinner and they would laugh at me sometimes. Like, seriously, like, because we're a close family, but I've always just been an open person and very sort of vulnerable with my emotions. And I grew up sort of writing in journals a lot. Like I would just write like feelings and words and draw and like things just all the time, like every day. And I had just like books and books just filled with things. And it's really cool now that I am getting into music, I can pull them back out and like take elements from what I have written over the years and be like, remember what I felt at that time and see how I can. Yeah. So it's really crazy and cool to be able to do that, and working with other talented songwriters. And you sit in the room and they're just like, so like, what are we writing about today? And I'll just start like talking like I'm in like a therapy session, and I'll be like, this is happening right now, and we're like, oh, this is a cool idea, and someone will start singing, I'll start singing a melody, and it'll just happen. So it's really cool when you can gel with other people like that and tell them your story and find a way to express it together. That's cool. It's really cool.
Now this time you not only wrote it yourself, but you didn't do any features, you didn't collaborate with any other artists as your previous stuff. How did you feel about that?
Not collaborating? I definitely, because since it was, I'll say it was a debut, I would say debut, but I've released music before, so I'll say debut part 2, because it sort of feels like, the new me, but I'm not going to let go of my past because I'm proud of it. I learned a lot from that time in my life. But I think collaborating is something I definitely want to do as I get more into the music. And I think being so, this is new, like I just wanted people to hear just me. I thought about collabs first up, like, oh, maybe I should, work with other producers or DJs or other singers. And I was just like, no, I think this time, since it's the first time sort of getting into it and showing me, I just want it to be 100% my story. But potentially, I want to, eventually collab with people.
Now, what was like the biggest thing that you got out of the studio this time around? Whether it was like learning a new way to write or learning a new way to do a certain falsetto or like a new vocal.
I think every time you go into the studio you learn something new, because working with different talented producers and writers, I get put in rooms with people who they've written songs that I love, songs on the radio, and it's cool to be able to take something from each of them, and they all have a different opinion on my sound, or giving me different techniques to sing, or what they think. I'll tell them my story and they'll be like, you should write about this, or you should explore this, and you can just learn from everyone. So I think every time I'm in a room with someone new, I learn something, and I think I get more and more confident every time I do go into a new session, because I'm just snowballing knowledge and confidence. So it's a cool feeling. But with Material Boy, I think I was working with songwriters named Faraz and Maya Marie, and they worked a lot with Katy Perry and Britney Spears and some of my favorite artists, and it was just cool to hear what they've been around and how they can help me learn from that, because I'm new to this. So it was really cool to sort of yeah, but to the songwriting experience, I'm new to it. So it's really cool just to be able to learn from them and take elements. But I think the more I sing, the more I find my voice, and you're different, falsettos and runs and anything that you can do. It's just each time I evolve, and it's definitely a cool feeling.
Now I'm curious, because you were also interviewing a lot of artists over the last couple of years. So did those conversations with these artists, did they help you in any way with your writing at all? Did they influence you at all?
100%, yeah, because over the time I was interviewing, the 2 years I had the radio show, I wasn't making music, and it was the time I was sort of figuring out what I wanted to do, and the more and more I would talk to other musicians and other people in this industry, I learned from them, and I was like, this is really cool. And I'm lucky enough to have learned something from every guest that had come in, and I had some of my biggest influences and inspirations come in, like Gwen Stefani and Selena Gomez, and huge moments, and people that I've always just wanted to meet and always learnt from, and just to be able to have a conversation with them and ask them, whatever I wanted to, and to try and learn from that was insane. And so I definitely learned something new from each artist that came in, and it was just cool to hear their different stories and how they got where they got there. Yeah.
Nice. Now that the music is out, how will these or better yet, are you planning on doing any shows to release these songs to the fans live?
Yeah, totally. I've been in Australia the past couple of weeks. I played a couple little shows down there. I was hosting a YouTube series and performed at the finale and different radio station performances and things like that. And performing's new to me as well. I've only performed live 4 times now. Wow. In my whole life. So
it's crazy. I would not have expected that.
Yeah, so my first performance was only about 2 months ago, and it was right before the songs were going to come out. And I sang the slow song, and everybody freaked out over it, and so it just sort of it gave me that confidence, and I'm still trying to find the confidence on stage. It's something I'm still learning to do. Performing's hard, so but it's something I do love to do, and I'm excited to get better at. But it definitely is hard work, and I'm training now, and but it's cool when you can work at something you love and something you want to get better at, and thrive at. So performing, I definitely am going to do more of that, and keep doing it where I can, and hopefully people come out.
Well, that's just kind of blew my mind, because you've had hit records before. So how are you able to get them so exposed without a performance with them?
Yeah, it was interesting how that happened, because I never performed Notice Me that, and that was my biggest song, and it's got 20 million on YouTube, something ridiculous. And I think it was sort of around the time I was probably 14, 15 at the time, and it was right around the time sort of YouTube was blowing up, and the whole social influence thing hadn't really happened yet, and I was making YouTube videos then, and Cody was too, and it was sort of the beginning of everything, and I think I was one of the first, or possibly the first sort of influencer to release music who wasn't a established artist. Right. and I think that was recognized. And I personally do not know how those songs did that well. It even blows my mind today. Like, some of my friends are like, what the heck? Like, I'm like, I don't know. I never performed it anywhere. I never even went to radio stations to promote it.
I mean, and it clearly opened room for Jack and Jack being one of them. That was another big song.
Yeah, and that was when, you know, other influencers started making music too, and we were like, this is so cool, like, we need to work together. And it was, I honestly still don't know how that happened, because I didn't promote it in any way. It was just sort of a hobby at the time, and I was like, let's shoot a music video, this is cool, you know. Like, I was such a novice, and I thank you, I had no idea, and it happened, and I'm grateful to sort of have that platform to bounce off of now, and I'm really starting to take it seriously. Yeah.
Well, now I really am excited to see a live show, because I honestly, like, I thought you've been performing all your life. I didn't know it was something that was like show number 4 happening.
Yeah, you can come to my 5th show. Yeah,
I was there from the beginning, guys. There you go. So moving forward, you mentioned you were in Australia shooting a YouTube series. Let's talk a little bit about that, and how this YouTube platform has become practically like the Netflix and the Hulu and, you know, like the TV station of today.
Yeah, it really is the TV station of now, because I think, you know, teens want things immediately, and the internet is amazing for that, especially YouTube. And that's sort of how the ShareSpace came along, and that show. And I was sort of a part of the creative with that, and working with Sony and Zigzag, the production company, to like figure out like how we can make this really like a thing, you know, like a new music competition show completely decided on likes and comments and downloads and shares. So like, literally it voted by social media, like, and that hasn't really been done before. So like, they decided to they picked the, you know, 8 artists that already had somewhat of a following, you know, on YouTube, and they made YouTube covers all the time, and they picked a great group of people, and me and Jai, Waitford, the other host, they pulled us in to host it, and it came together, and at the end of the 30 days, it went for 30 days, so there was an episode every day for 30 days. So we filmed
That's intense.
every day for 30 days. I literally just got back from Australia, like I'm still like crying over jet lag, but we were shooting every day and I don't know how the team did it, like to edit and release like episodes every day, as well as their music covers. They're releasing
just the covers alone. Like I cover The Voice a lot, and like they're, you know, they have a week to prepare, and they're struggling.
It's insane. I honestly don't know how they pulled it off, but the show came together, and the artist at the end got signed to Sony Music, and it's a surreal experience, for them, I'm sure, and it was just really cool to sort of be a host and be a mentor for these new, like, really hungry artists that you could just tell that just really wanted it, and it was cool to see that passion, you know, in them.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was cool. So all the episodes are on YouTube now, so you can binge watch it now, because all 30 are up. Like, the month is done, you know, you don't have to wait every day for the new episode. Just go and watch them all. So it was a really fun experience, and we definitely had fun on set, so it's very entertaining.
So now that you've kind of worked with a record label, helped other people get signed, what's your plan with the record label?
I mean, right now I'm not too worried about it, because, like, I mean, obviously with my other music, it was all independent, and these 2 new songs were released independently as well. And with record labels, you know, I'm keeping my mind open, and I'm taking meetings and things like that. But it's really nice to, especially when you're starting to have freedom with your creative, you know, how you dress and who you are as an artist and your music, and just to completely do whatever you want, which I wanted to do in the beginning, because I really wanted to figure it out on my own, you know, first, and completely have myself figured out as an artist and my sound before, you know, another team came in and tried to help me with that, because I'm a very, like, stubborn person when it comes to that. So I'm like, let me figure it out, and then I'd love to help it. Totally, yeah. So it's really cool to be able to have done that independently, but, you know, I keep my mind open, so you never know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for more music from you.
Thank you.
And definitely now I really honestly have to catch a performance. So hopefully we get some LA love anytime soon.
Hopefully we do an LA show soon. Yeah, it'd be very cool.
Now, what is next for you for the remainder of the year? Are you done for the year?
I mean, I'm never really done, am I? I think that, you know, as goes for this year, I'm going to let these songs just play out through the end of the year, and maybe do a couple pop-up performances here and there. And so I think I'll let these songs write out, and then hopefully by the first week of the new year, there'll be the new music. I have the songs, like I know what song's coming next, and I'm very, very excited about it. So I'm excited for 2018.
Not to close us off, like, for those that didn't hear part 1 of Alli, who is Alli part 2? What are you all about?
What am I all about? I think it's just being like I was saying before, just being vulnerable, and like I'm not too focused on who I want to be or where I see myself in the future. It's more so like what I do every day to shape me there. Like I'm not focused on like a long-term goal with this. I think I'm still like, I'm 19, you know, I'm still figuring out where I'm going, and like I don't want a dream or a, you know, a destination in my mind to like ruin the journey along the way, you know? So I think I just want to take it day by day and keep, you know, hearing what my fans want to see and talking to them every day and figuring out as I go. So I think part 2 of me is just going to be the most me I can get, you know, just I want to be as real and authentic as I can with my audience.